Hello, and thank you for visiting my discovery project titled Following Rothko. Um, so, we've been discussing a lot about abstract expressionism, post war art, and I happen to be a little obsessed with Mark Rothko. My last weekly reflection happened to be about a piece of his. And then this week we continued the color field studies. Last week I decided to kind of delve into some studies of Rothko and his compositional and color field work. I did some etudes and I completed two compositions, which we'll look at towards the end. Why I did it? I'm really into the layered narratives that Rothko was able to create within his color field. Um, I wrote about what I learned. Essentially, I learned a lot more than I thought I was going to over the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years studying this guy. But once I actually tried my hand at creating something in that same kind of style, I actually learned more about not just the frustrations, but kind of the internal struggle that one might go through when doing something that to many seems so simplistic in nature, but ends up being rather complex. I started off with research and studies. My research is usually pretty loose and fast. I am sorry about the color correction on this, but I pulled a couple quotes, started working with just kind of what was instinctually Rothko to me, the rectangles, obviously, the color blocks, etc. And then I kind of gravitated to a little bit more detailed of the sketch notes. I started trying to replicate not just the pieces, but I tried to follow hand movements, and in doing that was able to learn a lot more about like pressure, value, hue, tension in his work. I did not create on such a grand scale canvas as he did, but I still kind of started to notice where he would round edges or find struggle and tension with the hand and the canvas. So finally, after kind of running through those processes, I started to look at color layering. I was working with watercolor primarily because I wanted to have a good blend and I didn't have a lot of time to work with acrylic in the situation. I definitely appreciated the layering of paint. And I, being an improvisational worker myself, tend to layer intentionally and unintentionally. So when you see the final pieces, you might understand better. I created two pieces. The first and top left, you can see I started with a sketch that gravitated towards the middle and ended up breaking up into two sketches because I didn't exactly like them as one. Playing with color, and then I'm showing you how the color kind of evolved. And then this is what I ended up with. The gold piece. I ended up creating this with black and gold watercolor. You can read the artist's statement there. However, I really ended up playing around with layering and creating underlying ideas and narratives through symbols that are only able to be discovered through pulling back layers. And the other piece uh, is the blue piece, and the same thing occurred. This one was actually the final yellow piece in the early kind of like process piece work. This is the yellow piece with kind of the narrowing hallway. Um, and again, it ended up being layer upon layer. So I hope you enjoy. Feel free to read the statements. And I hope that at some point you get to dabble in a little Rothko color field study yourself. Works cited are included. Thanks so much.